what's going on. All right, he just left, so hopefully he'll reconnect and be healthy. There he is. Hey, Dale.
Hey.
All right, I hear you now. Good.
Yeah, ditto. Weird.
How come I only see one picture, one little square thing?
I think that might have something to do with the way you're set up on Discord.
Okay.
All right, so we had a motion to have a meeting. We had a second. We now have
information. Who made
Wait a minute. Who made a motion and who seconded?
So Will made the motion. And did Amy second it or Dylan? I can't remember.
I seconded it. Joe.
Oh, Joe seconded it. Good.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Secretary, I believe we have a quorum. I see 9 people here.
By personal privilege.
Sure.
And it looks like the only person we're missing is Jimmy Brittingham.
Jimmy.
That's correct. So who did? Was that you, Will?
No, it wasn't me.
That was me. We just have everybody mute on mics when they're not talking. We just got a tremendous amount of feedback coming through.
Where's my mic?
Yeah, it's
the microphone. If you just click on it.
Okay.
Where's the microphone?
So
Also, real quick, in the you can put it so that you have to hit a button to speak, and then nothing will come through if you don't hit that button.
Okay, I don't see any kind of button. Oh, wait there.
In the settings, the little cog at the bottom, the user settings, you can click on that, and then yeah, I forget where it is. I'm trying to find it right now, but there's like I don't know, muting is easier. Just do that.
That's fine for now. We can show everybody how to get on push and talk later.
So there was Amy was first and Joe was second to adopt the agenda, correct?
I don't think we've had a motion for the agenda yet.
Just made a motion and a second to have a meeting.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it was just for the meeting.
Yeah.
I think it was Will and Joe.
Was it Will and Joe or was it Amy and Joe?
Will and Joe.
Will and Joe.
Sound sucks. I can't understand anybody.
So there's a motion on the floor.
yes.
That's having a problem.
Can we just take a vote to start the meeting and everybody that
Jimmy's in the meeting. Jimmy's in the meeting room.
He's in the wrong place.
I think Jimmy's in the meeting room.
You mean?
I can move him.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Jimmy. Can you hear us?
I don't see he has a microphone.
Jimmy, can you hear us?
So it looks like Jimmy might be having difficulties.
I'm going to try my phone, see if the sound's any better.
we lost Jimmy. Is the sound any better for you, Erica?
So far.
Give Jimmy a minute. And then we'll get this thing started, I hope.
I only see 8 people. Who else is missing?
Nobody.
Well, Jimmy's not here, but you might not see yourself.
Is that me spinning?
I don't see anybody spinning, so it might be.
Oh, it's Dale.
Really? I see myself.
I just got you. You just came up. You were spinning.
Right round, baby, right round like a record, baby.
You're frozen.
All right, Dale, maybe you should go without video to have a better connection.
Yeah, I see others, no problem. Is that better?
You're not spinning.
Good.
All right. So we'll give Jimmy a second here, or what? We'll give him a minute. He tried to come in. Let's just get started. All right, so what do we need to do to start a meeting here according to Robert's rules? We have a quorum, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we just need to vote to start the meeting? Is that what this is?
Technically, we don't even have to vote, but the way our bylaws are written right now, in order to have a meeting other than the regular quarterly meetings, someone needs to make a motion, someone needs to second it, and then there needs to be a quorum call, and then the meeting's considered started.
Okay, so I think we've done all 3 of those, right?
Yes.
We have a quorum call. All right, so the next step, I guess, would be to adopt the agenda. Has everybody seen the agenda?
Yes.
I have not. Where can I find it?
Not recently. Where was this posted?
It's in the board room. I can share it on my screen. Let me do that.
No, I won't be able to see it on my phone.
Here, I can send it. I have it handy. Hold on.
Okay.
See, I'm going to put it under state board. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's the site. That's the page that's open on my computer.
Okay.
Great.
Agenda. It's a comment.
Okay.
There, everybody should have it now.
Thank you, Dale.
You're welcome.
Okay, so can somebody make a motion to accept the agenda?
I will motion to accept the agenda.
Do we do a second? Anybody?
I'm waiting to look at it.
Okay.
I have to open it.
I just seconded, Bill.
Okay.
Who did Dylan?
I did, Dale.
Thank you, Dylan.
Okay. I'll give you a pen. It's not a very. Okay.
We've had a motion and a second, right?
We do. So take a vote to accept the agenda. We were trying to give you a chance to look at it.
It's not very long. I can read pretty quick.
Okay, great. All right, so do we have a vote to approve the agenda?
Don't we have to say aye or nay, don't we?
Point of order, actually, according to our bylaws at the moment, we need to do a roll call vote for all votes at the state board level.
Thank you, Will.
Okay, so, all right, I'll just call everybody. Amy?
Aye.
Dave? Aye. Will?
Abstain?
Mary Pat?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Dylan? Did I hear you, Dylan?
Yep, that was me.
Okay. You're a little muffled sounding, I'm not sure why. Brandy?
Aye.
And then Gail?
Aye.
Okay, Jimmy's not present at the moment. So you got that recorded?
Yes, Amy, aye. Dave, aye. Will abstain. Mary Pat, aye. Joe, aye. Dylan, aye. Brandy, aye. Gail, aye. Jimmy, not present. It passes.
Thank you. Okay.
What is the chair's vote?
I thought I don't have to vote. I guess I'll abstain.
You have to explicitly abstain.
Okay. Now, that's an interesting thing because I'm sure most of us listened into the LNC meetings that were happening during the New Hampshire debate debacle. The chair voted in those meetings, and I went to Robert's rules. I found it interesting that Henchman was voting in the exec committee meeting. And the rules for Roberts say a chair can vote and participate in debate in committees of 12 or smaller.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm abstain. I'm fine with that, but I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, the secretary complained, but she did acknowledge that he's allowed to vote. It's just generally not encouraged.
Right.
On the traditions of the body in particular.
Right, unless there's a tie. Okay. All right, so the first thing on our agenda is scheduling monthly business meetings. I think we've all come to agreement that 7 p.m. on the fourth Monday of the month will work.
Thank you very much.
So do we have everybody's agreement on that? We're all here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Except for Jimmy.
Yes.
Yeah. He seems to be having a technical difficulty. All right. I also put a proposed schedule for the quarterly meetings out there for the year in advance, just so people could plan around them and we don't have to, every quarter figure out what's the best date for the next quarter. I thought it would be easier to try to lay them all out. So I laid them out.
I can't plan that far in advance.
Well, here's the thing. I laid them out so that we know when they are. I'm not asking you to plan for May 15th of 2021 right now, but I am asking that when that time comes, this date is already, save the date so that you know when you're planning it's there. That's what the point of it is.
This is on my list.
So, all right, let's just start with August 15th. Is everybody good with August 15th as the first quarterly meeting?
Are these
Unfortunately,
Sundays?
I am not.
Are these Sundays?
They are.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, I am not good for August 15th. I apologize. I will be traveling back to Delaware from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I apologize. If anybody has a target Stanley, I'll gladly use that. Otherwise,
So, all right, well, if that's the case, does anybody have another date in August that would work for everybody?
A week later?
I think a week later is good, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay. So, when we talk a week later.
A week later will be the
20th.
yeah, that's not going to work for me.
So,
I don't know who's talking.
Let's go.
Who's it not gonna work for?
Dylan.
Okay.
so the 22nd does not work for Dylan.
That's the 21st. Oh, the 22nd, you're right, sorry, never mind.
It's okay. All right. So I picked Sundays only because they had been Sundays in the past. Does everybody require this meeting to be on Sunday, or can it be another day of the week?
I was about to suggest that Saturday, the 21st.
And how does everybody feel about the 21st?
Works for me. I'm good.
I can make it work.
Dylan?
Yep, that's good.
I can't hear you, Dylan, I'm sorry.
That works for me, man.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Dale.
You sound like you're underwater, Dylan, I'm sorry. Yeah,
This laptop has a really terrible microphone.
Okay.
Great. All right. So,
That came through loud and clear.
all right.
Mr.
So,
Chair,
yes.
information, would it be appropriate for us to motion scheduling that meeting? That's what we've done in the past.
Sure.
All right, in that case, I make a motion that we schedule. What time, actually, before I do that?
Well, again, so traditionally these meetings have been around, all right, around noon?
We've usually done a lunch meeting or a dinner meeting. It's been one of the two, depending on what the
All right.
availability is at that time.
So there's one thing I want to add to this. The meetings have usually been held in Dover at the McVeigh household, and that's very nice. We appreciate that. But I'm going to try to change it so that we meet every quarter in a different county. I would like to start with the first quarterly meeting in Newcastle County, and then proceed to Sussex, then Kent, and back to Newcastle. That's kind of...
I think you should alternate Newcastle with every other one, otherwise we're doing Newcastle 2 times in a row.
No.
If we stick to the same schedule the next year.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, that's fair.
It's a 2-year schedule.
Yeah, so we'll go Newcastle, then we'll go Sussex, Newcastle, Kent. I like that. That's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody agreeable with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a point of information, would you like these at people's houses? Would you like to pick a restaurant? What would you like to do, Mr. Chair?
I think I would like to try to figure that out. I'm open to either or, restaurant or house. I know like in Sussex, we have that room in Grottos that we can use.
Well, they have to find out if it's available. Jimmy's got it reserved for the year.
Right, so I'm
We have
asking,
to find out because it's a Saturday, they may have a party plan.
right, so we need to look at that ahead of time. I also, so I'll tell you, here's my preference would be to do it in a restaurant, but in the event we can't, then find a volunteer home to house it, if that's possible. So, starting with Newcastle County, I will reach out to the Glynn's to see if we can get a Saturday with them. And if not, I'm happy to open my home to the meeting in Newcastle County.
All right, I'm gonna make my
Okay, so what
motion.
time?
I'm gonna make my motion that we meet on August 21st at 1:00 p.m. either at McGlynn's or at the chair's home, depending on. No.
Yes, that's good.
I can't be at on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
Who's
what time
that?
is for you, Dave?
That's. I'm sorry. I have wheelies on Saturday. That's the big game for me. I have to be there.
What time works better for you on Saturday? Anything or?
I mean, I'm closing at 4, so I don't know if that. I thought we were talking about like a nighttime meeting on Saturday.
I mean, we've also done I think around 5 or 6 is another time that we've met. So would that be?
If it's 6 o'clock in Newcastle, I can definitely make that happen.
All right. In that case, I will withdraw my motion and immediately remake the same motion at 6 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock.
Okay,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
great.
Who was that? Who seconded, please?
I think
I
that was
second.
Amy. Yeah, Amy.
Thank you.
Well, I did too.
Okay, Mary Pat, you have it.
No, that's all right. I didn't hear Amy say it, so I was just saying it was me too, so I didn't know who identified whose voice. I can't tell who's speaking. I don't know the guy's voices well enough, like Dave or Dylan, to be, and even Joe, to be able to identify which of the guys is talking.
Okay,
Dave was well, I know. If Jimmy was on, I'd know, but the other ones I don't know well enough.
so we've got a motion, a second. I guess we need another roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll go to the top over there. Amy,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Brandy,
Aye.
Dale,
Aye.
Dylan. Dylan. Okay. Joe, and Mary Pat.
Aye.
Okay.
Real quick, point of information, Mr. Chair. How long do these meetings typically go for? Just curious.
Well, I don't think we can really judge on previous meetings because it really depends on our business agenda, right?
Yeah, it depends on the agenda.
But
I would guess roughly 2 hours.
yeah, let's try to keep it at 2 hours max.
Thank you. An estimate was all I was looking for.
Okay.
A point of order, Mr. Chair. You did not give your vote.
I abstain.
Okay, thank you. Passes.
Okay. So, I guess the future dates, we will just leave them hanging out there so that they're for planning purposes. We won't make any motions to accept them and plan them.
Jimmy!
Yeah, I'll probably this right fast.
Hey, welcome.
So,
So we just voted to have our August quarterly meeting in Newcastle County on August 21st at 6 p.m. It'll either be at McGlynn's in Pike Creek or at my house, depending on if McGlynn's has the room available for us. Okay?
Is that good for you, Jimmy?
Come again, what was that?
August 21st at 6 p.m.
For a quarterly meeting.
Okay, McGlynn.
That's the
In,
Okay.
and if for any reason you can't get the room at McGlynn's, then we'll just do it at my house.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so do we have any more business to discuss on scheduling the quarterly meeting?
No.
Okay, committee memberships. So, what all committees do we have in the state board? We have a social media committee I'm aware of from this weekend.
The answer to that question is a little fuzzy, to be honest.
Okay, well, what is the fuzziness?
The fuzziness is that the AOAs don't technically give the state board to create standing committees.
So there are no other committees except the social media committee?
Well, there's been historically, at least kind of in theory, sort of, a social media and marketing data tech committee. There's been an AOA committee, and obviously we've had a committee that gets formed ad hoc, the months immediately prior to the convention. But again, whether or not any of those committees actually have the authority to exist under the AOA is a bit of an open question. I came up with a motion to create a charitable giving committee a few months ago, and Sean specifically said that we should wait until after the convention and give the convention an opportunity to pass an AOA amendment specifically authorizing us to create committees or specifically authorizing certain committees to exist. And we never actually got around to that at the convention, which is why I tried to make that motion at the at the beginning of this state board session immediately following the convention.
Okay. So, and I wanted to understand what committees were in place for doing anything. So, since you seem to have the most knowledge on this, how is the social media marketing and tech committee authorized in the AOA? So I don't see a mention of it there.
Like I said, it's not in the AOA. There was a motion passed at the state board level in 2018 that created it, and it was created with the 3 county chairs, the secretary, and an at-large. Later, there was a resolution that passed, I don't remember exactly when, that added the webmaster. It was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of February last year, because that's when we signed the contract to create a webmaster position in the first place. But again, whether or not that authority really exists in the AOA is kind of an open question, between what Robert says and whether or not we're allowed to have committees to delegate the duties of the state board in the AOA, that we have the duties that are outlined there. Delegate those, kind of open to interpretation.
A point of information to anybody who can answer. Is this being recorded?
It's being streamed, actually.
Will I be able to watch that later?
Yes, I believe the streams are preserved.
Wonderful. Okay, that will make life easier. Thank you.
The YouTube link is posted in the LPD group.
Awesome. Thank you, Will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So the only acting committee we have right now, you're saying, is the social media committee. We have no others. Okay.
Well, again, technically we also have an AOA committee, but also technically maybe neither of those committees are technically allowed to exist.
Okay.
Which is, again, why I wanted to do that amendment to the AOA that's been notified and was originally on the agenda for the convention, but we didn't get to it, so that we could clarify that authority.
Okay.
I have a quick question, Bill.
Sure.
I want to make sure I understand this correctly. So the AOA committee has historically been used in an ad hoc fashion prior to the convention and has technically been disbanded in between conventions, or has it? No. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, it's an advisory committee. It was created at some point. I don't remember exactly when, and I don't remember exactly what the criteria were for being on it. The way that we've interpreted it recently, when Carter wanted to be on it, was just anybody who was enough of a masochist to be interested. Congratulations, welcome to the committee. So that was kind of how that came about, and then Bill joined it afterwards because it was initially myself, Nadine, and my dad left the party. Nadine obviously is still around. I'm still around. That left us with just 2 people. So when Carter was looking for ways to be more involved, I suggested that he might join the AOA committee. Made the same offer to Bill, and then that was 4. But again, what exactly the AOA committee's authority is when it was kind of fuzzy, so it's just kind of been an advisory committee. And just once the AOA committee's looked at something for us to say, okay, we can post this on the website now instead of just having some random person post it in the Facebook group.
I know you've referred to the authorizing resolution for the social media marketing and tech committee. To anyone's knowledge here, Dale, I can point this to you as secretary. Is there a comparable authorizing resolution for the AOA committee that we should be made aware of?
Not that I know of off the top of my head, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you.
That may be buried in my files because I was the secretary before Dale and I was nowhere near as competent and diligent as he is. So I may have them sitting around somewhere, but I'm not sure where they are.
Yeah, one of I think the primary questions we have, and I'll say it now because I think it is related, is where these resolutions exist that dictate operations somehow. I would love to be made aware of those. So to the extent that those records are there and that we will find them along the way, expectations for how we will operate, it would be excellent to know where those exist and what they dictate.
So can I would like to suggest that we look at bylaw 5, which is amendments to the AOA, and possibly add language to bylaw 5, creating an AOA review committee that comes together when AOA changes are proposed by members. And then that review committee can provide input to the board on how that recommendation looks.
Well,
Right.
Bill, this is something that we actually looked at already in our capacity as AOA committee members, you know, a month or so, 6 weeks before the convention. We had several proposals there. One of them was creating kind of a blanket authority and standardized rules for committees, ad hoc committees in particular, and furthermore, specific rules regarding a social media marketing committee, an AOA committee, and a intermittently existing convention committee.
Okay.
So this has all been notified already. It's just, it hasn't actually been adopted.
Right. So, question. All right. So, I would like everybody to review those. Those are in the Google Docs folder, I would imagine.
They're posted on the website because they went through the AOA committee.
Okay. Great. So,
They've been notified and everything.
what I would like to do with that is have everybody on this board have an opportunity to look at them, and then we will have an item on the agenda to vote on those next month. All right? Does that sound reasonable?
Sir.
And I would also like to, well, I guess we'll take that one step at a time. Because I'd like to solicit changes to the AOA from members of the board as well. If anybody has input into how we can improve the AOA, I'd love to hear it. So the social media committee was given life in a resolution in 2018.
Yes.
And it's still intact. Now, I have right now, John Manchurick, who is he's the at-large chairman of that committee.
Yes.
And he is no longer a registered libertarian. He has changed his party affiliation. So I'm not.
Is he a member of the National Party?
What?
Is he a member of the National Party?
He's a member of the Mandalorian Party.
Yes, but is he a member of the Libertarian National Party? Because there's actually somebody on the board here that was not a registered libertarian, was elected because he was a member of the National Party. That makes you eligible to be a member of, to have voting privileges.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about voting privileges. I'm talking about him being a committee chairman here.
Okay, there's a state board member here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
What state board member is not?
She's talking about me, but the difference is that mine was in flux going towards the Libertarian Party, and he relinquished his to be something else.
But is he
So-
still a member of the
I'm just
National
clarifying.
Party?
I'm clarifying for you. That's all.
Okay, I didn't realize that you were now a state member, but the rules say you either have to be a state registered libertarian or a member of the National Party.
So this brings up, well, yes, to be a voting member, to be a credentialed delegate, that is correct. It does not have, we don't have any membership rules regarding board positions, which is another thing. It's not on our agenda that I would like to bring up, but it's not on our agenda for today. We could talk about.
What would you like to bring up?
Well, I would like to for being a county or state board member a little more stringent than they are now. So for county board members, I would like people to have 6 months membership in the county organization. And for state board members, I would like to push that to be 1 year membership.
I don't think state boards can dictate county membership.
Right.
I mean, we can modify the AOA so that we can. But the question is that a good idea?
I don't know that we would want to as a state board. It can certainly be a recommendation for the counties.
I'm sorry, say that again, Dylan? Can you say that again, Dylan?
I said I do not know that we necessarily would want to dictate the operations of the counties as a state board, but we can certainly make the recommendation.
Agreed.
Okay. So a recommendation like that, would we do that as a resolution, or just we would say, hey, we recommend that the counties do this?
I mean, it depends. Like I said, we could make it an amendment to the AOA and require it, but
Bill, it might make sense for us as a board to decide how we feel about it at the state level before we worry about whether or not we recommend it to the counties.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just trying to spitball ideas out there to you, that's all.
For what it's worth, John is an active member of the National LP, and according to our AOA, that makes him a fully qualified member of the LPD as well. Whether he's registered as a Mandalorian, nothing, independent, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. He's a member of the National Party, therefore he is a member of the LPD.
But, so as a committee head, he was not appointed by this board, he was appointed by the previous board, right?
That's correct.
So what I want to bring up is, do we want to change that committee head, or do we want to keep him? And I think that that's something that the board, this board, should have a voice in.
Well, there's actually a bit of a separate discussion that needs to be had about that committee in general, as we were discussing whether it exists in the first place. You know, looking at Roberts, it does appear as though an ordinary committee, which I could make the argument that social media might fall into the ordinary category, can be instituted outside of a bylaws change. But standing committees cannot, and a standing committee would be any committee by which the board has resolved to give some of their power such that business can be conducted.
So
The Social Media Marketing Committee qualifies as a standing committee then because they have a budget. They can spend money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it does. So we would have required a bylaws change to exist then.
So does anybody want to tackle drafting a bylaw to
We already
allow
have
a social media? Oh, you're talking about the generalized AOA changes that,
There's one there that authorizes committees generally on an ad hoc basis and sets standard rules, and there's also one specifically for the Social Media and Marketing Committee.
I'm gonna have to pull them up. Give me a second, I'm gonna pull it up and look at it. Because it's been a while since I've looked.
It just disappeared.
Yeah.
But it won't freeze this time. I do call Batman.
So where on the state page are the,
If you scroll back to the May, you'll see it. It's the pre-convention committee report.
okay. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have codified the committee process, established the committee process, amend Article 5.
Fan deal.
So, all right, so everybody has access to these. I would like to put up on the agenda, I think I already said that, to vote on these changes at the next cycle.
What changes are you talking about?
The AOA changes that were never presented at the convention.
Oh, okay. That we'll try, wanted to have passed right after the convention, but you next, right? Those amendments?
Yeah, I wanted to give the new board time to come together before advancing anything from the previous administration, so to speak.
Well, you were involved in those AOA changes, weren't you?
I
Weren't you on
was,
the AOA committee? Okay.
I was, but I also had some different point of views from some of them, so yeah. Okay. All right. So we will address committees as part of our AOA changes. Like, anybody else want to talk about committee process membership thing right now?
No.
So the next thing we have here is the secession process. And I want to know, has there been prior to now a documented secession process for state boards to change over?
Point of information, you mean succession?
Succession, yes, I'm sorry.
I was wondering who was going to secede here.
Yeah, no, yeah. Succession, yeah.
Because Kent and Sussex are going to form the new state of Delmarva, so y'all can do so.
Not a bad idea, but
We'd love it.
yeah.
Please.
Can we move down?
Well, if you're really nice to us, we'll take everything south of the canal as well.
There you go.
Dale, my basement's open.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
The refugee from Newcastle County.
In answer to your question, though, Bill, I am not aware of any documented succession process.
Point of order, if I understand that we might not have a history of it. However, it is clearly stated in our current AOA how succession works.
Well, that's the order of succession if the chair goes missing, right?
Yeah.
I think we're talking. I think what Bill means is when there's an orderly succession, when we transition from one administration to the next following a convention vote.
Yes. So
My apologies.
You'd have to fight Sean for the gauntlet.
I don't think it'd be much of a fight with him right now, but
He may not want to give it up. He may make you get your own.
I don't know. It's a pretty fancy gauntlet. I wouldn't let you have it if it was mine.
you need the gauntlet, huh? I'd rather have Infinity Stones, but anyway.
Well, the Infinity Stones are in the gauntlet. It's the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay. He's got it all. So anyway,
Gauntlet.
I think we need to document what that process is, and I'm including things like email addresses, credentials into the social media account, understanding the bank account information, all of these things. We have to document how we hand over from one board to another. So I would like to start that process with everybody contributing what they can to make that happen. If it doesn't already exist, which you're saying it doesn't.
Bill, would it be useful if there was a template?
What? What, Amy? Sorry, Amy, what did you say?
I'm going to wait till everyone's done talking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bill, so would it be useful if there was a session plan template for each officer?
Yes.
I am happy to take the lead on something like that if it is useful.
Okay, and all right, that'd be great. So if you could have that available for review in Discord as soon as possible, that'd be great. And then I guess the process would be, once we have a template, just kind of conduct the interviews and fill it out. And then that would be something that would go into our database, or not database, but our data store as an artifact for party operations. Now, this is also something that we probably have to address in the bylaws as well, so that we have a smooth succession process in our bylaws. Now, on my own Google Drive, I've collected the bylaws from surrounding states in Region 5. The only one I don't have is Maryland. It's got South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, along with ours, all together in a Google Drive. So we can all, as a board, I can share them to the state Google Drive, and then everybody can see what other states are doing for bylaws to help us find the best path forward. And if anybody has bylaws from another state and they want to contribute them to that repository of bylaws, that would be fine.
Can we get hold of New Hampshire's?
I don't think there. Well, which version? Right?
Both.
Yeah.
First one, sure not to do.
I'm sure we could get them both.
Killing Smalls. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So,
it's a little bit of an inside joke.
So, Mary Pat, in Newcastle County, prior to,
I'm sorry, there's background noise. People are talking or something. What are you saying? You need what?
well, I'm trying to explain something. We had changed Newcastle County financially so that the chair and the treasurer both had credentials to the financial assets, so that if one or the other went missing for any reason, the county still had access. How does that work?
I have checked with the bank. All you have to do is present a death certificate and a letter from the board, and they will give you access.
Great. So Dale, I guess Dale, you would write that letter?
I would be more than happy to.
Okay.
Well, and you have to have my.
You'd be more than happy to. Hold on a second. You'd be writing that.
You have to have my death certificate too. So.
Right.
Because I went in and looked into doing beneficiary, and they won't do that. You have to present a death, and I'm not putting a second name on an account that I'm responsible for. Sorry.
No, and that's fine. And let me clarify, because and I know Will brought it up in humor, but I'll take it a little bit more seriously and dark. I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. I don't mind dealing with it in all seriousness. I know that's incredibly somber, and I apologize to be a downer. But if any of you die, Lord forbid, I have no problem going to your family and getting a death certificate. Just think of me as the LTD. Go ahead.
Jess would happily give it to you, and I am flying out to Denver again next week to move my mother into assisted living, so I'll be gone for 10 days. Okay. So if I don't come back, that's the option. You'll still have to do all the campaign finance stuff. The convention's pretty much campaign finance stuff hasn't even been started.
Point of order, I guess.
What, Will?
Point of order, I guess. The chair would have the prerogative to nominate a new treasurer, and the state board would approve them, I believe, rather than it naturally just automatically falling on Dale's shoulders. Dale's got plenty. I mean, Dale would.
So good luck to Carter.
Well, Dale would be the one who would be responsible of presenting the quote unquote voice of the board, to certify that we've selected a new treasurer in accordance with our AOA and our bylaws. But that's who would then have responsibility for all that stuff, I believe.
Right. And thank you, Will, for that. And I concur. I would simply, and feel free if I'm out of order, but I would simply go to the family of whomever passed away, of any one of you, just as I'm sure any one of you would come to my family if I were to pass suddenly. I would get a copy of the death certificate.
I've dealt with that too many times.
Right. I'm just going through it for my own sake and for the sake of the board. Get the death certificate, and then with the letter, we can go forward from there to do whatever we need to do legally. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think the point of this conversation is that there is a succession plan in place in case of, the treasurer getting hit by a bus or falling out of the sky in an airplane or whatever, that is more accountable and less insecure than somebody else having access to the account.
Bless you, whoever that is.
Okay.
Bless you, whoever that is.
Yeah.
So,
Does that satisfy you, Bill?
I'm sorry, what?
Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, for now. I mean, we don't really have anything in our bylaws governing other than, your personal choice. So
I am responsible for the finances of the party.
That's in RONR.
Okay,
The treasurer is responsible for the funds.
okay. All right.
That's also
If somebody else
CFRS.
has access to it,
Does anybody want to add anything?
I'm not responsible.
Anybody want to add anything, or are we good?
Bill, I would just add that what we should do is, as we are looking at other state bylaws, we should take a look at best practice and adopt accordingly.
Okay, that's fair.
Or Robert's rules.
Right. Which probably should match other states' bylaws. Okay. Information technology. So the first thing there is like, do we have an inventory of assets? Do we have a list of all the Google accounts, of all of the Twitter, Instagram, whatever? Do we have a finite list? Can we put that list together?
We do not have a list currently. One can be put together.
Okay, can I ask you to do that?
Sure.
Thank you.
So Bill,
Yes.
and Will can certainly work on this on his own, but asset inventories will be part of the template for continuity of operations or succession planning. So Will can do it now, but it certainly will be for each officer, given their access to any asset at all, be it kind of web-based or
Great.
something tangible. Will be a part of that template.
Excellent. Okay. The other item I have there is, once we get all that under control, that'll be great. The webmaster contract, is that actually the language of that webmaster? I thought I had a copy. Because I really would like to change that term to IT director, get rid of the webmaster language. So does that take writing a new contract, or?
Does that make it politically correct? You can't use master bedroom or master bathroom anymore, so I didn't know if webmaster was not politically correct.
I'll tell you what, webmaster is a term that probably most companies stopped using 20 years ago, to be fair.
I think technically speaking, it would require a new contract, yes, because the one that is in existence currently does say webmaster. And I mean, it could be amended to be IT director instead of webmaster, but still
okay. So we can agreeably amend that.
Yes.
Okay. So I see that Dale was the signature of the original contract.
Yes.
So Dale, can you update that contract to replace the words webmaster with IT director?
Yeah, let me write this down. Hold on.
I have the soft copy still, the unsigned soft copy as well, so I can also do that and provide it to Dale. And
please do. That would be helpful.
Next time he and I get together, we can get that re-signed.
Okay.
All right. So Will and Dale to work on wording of the contract presented to the board. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, is it to present to the board, or is he just updating the terminology?
Well, so if we're only updating the terminology of the contract, it can just be cross-signed by the two of you, right?
Works for me.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay. And then as we get into our AOA and committee reviews, that's, we'll have a little more scrutiny to how that's all put together. From an IT directorship, what's the role of a director? These are things we want to build out. Okay. So social media, account information we've already talked about. On this agenda, the next thing I have is 2022 convention planning. And what's been the previous, how is that, when does convention planning start previously?
The Q1 meeting, maybe
Yeah.
the Q4.
Okay,
It's
so,
brought up the Q4, major planning done more the Q1.
okay, so I would kind of, I would be in favor of moving up to start thinking about it further out, just so that we have more time to secure a venue, whatever venue that might be, and have the logistics better organized so that we don't have any animosity as a result of logistics. Try to make this one a little smoother. Also, in relation to convention, the AOA says that the chair may make rules to the convention. And I just wonder why, with so many conventions under our belt, we haven't just simply codified how to do a convention and, you know, run with that. Why is
Because each chair can make their own rules.
But like, what's the advantage of that?
I mean, realistically, we haven't had a whole lot of arbitrary rulemaking by chairs at conventions. The only one that I can think of that has ever was this most recent convention where the chair determined that we could have online participation. Other than that, it's been pretty much exactly in conformity with the AOA and the bylaws and RONR. There hasn't been any kind of gray area or wiggle room that's been.
Okay.
Now, as for the source of that language, give me a minute here, but I think that language might have just been in the original AOA that we inherited from before the 2018 version that was adopted. And it just wasn't really questioned.
Okay.
Like I said, give me a minute. Let me double check that because I have the old ones here as a kind of buried page on the website. Bylaws.
No AC, Dale?
No, I'm trying to save money.
In this heat? Oh, God.
That's okay. I've got a box fan here. And, here, hold on. Fiddlesticks, hold on.
So while Will is looking for that, does anybody want to add anything to convention planning? Like, what would we like to do?
I guess everybody saw that we have a convention fund already of $827.94. That is after paying back the $300 that the state board had loaned the convention fund because Amy did not charge us, Angela did not charge us for a bunch of stuff. And since I didn't take the side, that saved us $750. So we have $827.94 in the convention fund as of now to start for next year.
That's great.
$27.94?
Yeah, it's on the state board web page, Discord page, Dale.
Well, yeah, I saw it earlier. But thank you, Mary Pat.
So can I ask, do we have all the final financial numbers from, well, I guess you do for the convention, but
for the convention and the dinner I do, but for the actual fundraising, I do not. I'm still waiting for a couple outstanding checks.
Okay.
But it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $600+ of money, plus whatever the Delaware Day of Liberty or Delaware Speaks, whatever it ended up being called, whatever they end up donating. The convention itself has raised $600 some between the silent auction, the tables, the vendor tables, Spike swag he sold. I don't know if they say silent auction already, and a little bit of a profit from the dinners, but not as much as we had hoped. But we did cover the cost of the dinner.
Great.
And we made $53 on it.
All
So
right.
the convention did well. Not the highest amount of money we've ever brought in, but pretty close.
Good. Good. So did the convention end up costing us more or less than we spent? Like, did we make a profit off the convention as a whole?
No, not really, because the convention itself cost $927.85. We actually got money back from the $1,000 deposit we
Well,
put down.
hold on,
But we
because
only
technically
in
the convention cost us,
$660.
technically the convention
What?
cost us over $2,000 because there's the 900 and something, and then there's Spike's fee, travel fees.
Spike fee.
Now, we raised
Yeah.
all of that money separately, and we didn't spend any money out of the general fund. It was all specifically designated fundraising for the convention. So,
Right.
and we have money left over. So in that regard, yeah, sure, we made a profit. But as far as, did the stuff that we sold and the money that we made actually come out more than what we spent on everything? No, it did not.
Okay. All right. That's what I was, yeah.
It's about $300 short.
That's good.
It's $300 short for the venue cost. That doesn't include Spike's travel expenses either.
Right.
Right.
But we were gonna have Spike probably regardless of where we had the venue.
That's true.
Yes. Okay, so that was good. I think we all like that venue. So in 2022,
There were a few problems that I won't address here, but basically it turned out well.
so
And I know that it was addressed, on the Sunday meeting they had with the Liberty Speaks people, that Angela had some credit card issues with the credit card company, not with the people that were using credit cards, but the credit card company. But I want everybody to check their statements if they can, because my credit card was actually charged the 2 times I used it at Angela's that day. So I'm one of those people who reconcile my credit card every month. And I know that I got charged for those 2 things. And I called Angela and told her, and she was going to look at her records to see if those were 2 that were counted, or if those were 2 that they said they didn't, and then they ended up. So I don't know what's going on with all that stuff. She was supposed to let us know, and I haven't heard anything.
well, I know I used mine for drinks, and I know I was charged, so I know I'm good.
Okay, yeah, I used mine for drinks, and I bought 3 lunches for Will, Dale, and myself. Dale gave me cash, but I put all 3 of them on my credit card, and I got charged for those, and I got charged for the drinks I bought.
Great.
So I don't know if the credit card company caved, and they went ahead and let her collect her money, or what was going on.
Okay.
So,
Order
Yeah,
that.
so, okay, that's good to know for people, but, all right. Where was this? Oh, so normally the convention is in March. This is where I was going with this. We had the convention late this year, right?
we have it earlier in election years, later in off-election years.
Yes.
Right. 22 being an election year, so I think we want to target like
March,
again.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
So I don't know that that would be the ideal venue for March, depending on, because March is typically a little colder.
Well, we would have to get pay $750 for the side so they could heat it.
Okay.
Also, let's bear in mind too that a lot of the reason why we selected that venue in the first place was because of concerns about COVID restrictions and
Right.
indoor venue. So that's why we ended up in an outdoor venue. So it's very likely we can find a much cheaper venue indoors at this point, and not need to worry about COVID restrictions because that's mostly done. So I would not recommend or any future convention committee marry itself using that venue just because it wasn't a disaster this year.
No, it wasn't. It was a good place. But what I'd like to do as soon as we get this committee question in the AOA settled is create like a convention location scouting committee so that we can start exploring if we want to go back there, go back to the Actors Guild, or go somewhere totally new.
The scouting committee would be ordinary. As long as they're just reporting back to the board, we can just do that.
Sorry,
Okay.
say that again, Dylan? I'm having a hard time here.
I said a scouting committee, as long as it is not making the determination, would be considered ordinary, and we could simply do that. We could make a ordinary committee.
Okay, we don't need a special committee. Okay, got it.
All right. So,
Mr. Chair, if I may, real quick, please.
sure.
Well, one thing I'd like to share with everybody, and I think it's something worthwhile to think about, is that, Pizza Deli was a success. The last few years that I've been attending, the Patrick Playhouse had been a very good venue. We may want to consider moving the convention around from county to county each year. I'm fine with it staying in Kent County since it's centrally located. That's easiest for everybody. It's an hour away for those of us in Newcastle and Sussex, and really easy for the Kent County folks. But it might be worthwhile to consider, just to consider, maybe moving around. It would be nice to have it at the beach in Sussex sometime. It'd be nice to maybe have it here in Wilmington another time. Maybe we could have it, somewhere else, in Kent County sometime, like we did this past year in Felton. Again, just a suggestion, just planting a scene, just something to think about.
It sounds to me, Bill, like you're volunteering for the scouting committee.
I would love to be a scout. To get my plastic armies ready. I've got some of them right here.
So I guess would we require a motion to create a scouting committee? Is that how it would work?
Before we go to that, Dylan did point out that we may not need a scouting committee.
Well, no, what he was saying is that we don't.
No, he was saying it's not a standing committee, so we have the authority in Roberts.
I see. My apologies. My misunderstanding.
My suggestion with the indulgence of the board is that rather than explicitly creating a scouting committee, we just all take it upon ourselves between this month and next month to try to come up with an idea or two. And if we want to create a committee at that point to evaluate those ideas, I mean, we can go ahead and form the convention committee at that point once we've had some time to think about it. See who wants to be involved on it, see who wants to be in it, and have some ideas for a venue. And some ideas for a date that will work for those venues. Try to get a bit more solid there, and we'll just take that upon ourselves for the time being. And if we have some great ideas that we can move forward with next month, great. If we don't, then we'll create a committee at that point. We're all a little bit more prepared for that.
So, can I ask all of the county chairs that you bring this to your membership and ideas also?
Yeah. That's not bad idea.
Yeah. And I nominate Dale for unofficial venue scout director.
Appreciate that, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, if we get hats and badges printed up, that's definitely for Dale.
We'll make you,
Awesome.
I'll have Jess make you a button.
There you go.
I love buttons.
Convention scout. Because we got that button maker.
Oh man.
Okay. So
you just made my night.
Great. So we've kind of gotten through everything I had on the agenda for tonight. Does anybody else want to bring any new business or ask the agenda be modified to include anything?
I'm not going to press the issue now, but you mentioned looking at the possible AOA amendments for next month. I'm going to make sure everybody pays extra special attention in the 2021 pre-convention AOA report where we're looking at these to proposal number 4, which I will link to directly in the Discord channel regarding regular ad hoc meetings so that the chair actually has authority to call ad hoc meetings between the quarterly meetings rather than us needing to make a motion and do a quorum call shenaniganry we did this time.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to say something real quick, tongue in cheek. Not that I mind the work, but I did drop being county secretary so that I could only be state secretary and write minutes 4 times a year, and now I'm back to writing them 17 times a year. So, Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Well, at least you don't have the weekly minutes.
Well, that's true, but they were a little disorganized.
Are we going to have a meeting like this in August as well as our in-person meeting, or are those months going to be no?
Well, the quarterly meetings, I would like to have them be in-person meetings.
Yeah, I know. Are we going to have another meeting like this in the same month?
Oh, so no, if we have the in-person meeting in August, we will not have a virtual meeting in August.
Oh, God bless you. That's only 15 times I have to write minutes. Thank you, Mary Pat.
Because I was thinking too, if we're going to do this and then not have a meeting, otherwise in August, we can kind of lean towards the end of the month, which is when we're normally doing these meetings, rather than having one of these meetings and 2 weeks later we have a meeting and then it's 6 weeks before the next meeting.
I mean, that's a really good point. And if our fourth Mondays of the month are open, so we could just go at that time too. Again, a consideration.
So my concern was I was just trying to pick a time of the month that avoided holidays for everybody. Because when you get near the end of August, now you're getting closer to Labor Day. And, I was trying to stay away from holidays when I laid this out.
Well, August is set now anyway, so.
Yeah.
Done did it.
Done did it.
Does anybody have anything else?
I have a couple questions about the social media appointment, John's position. So can you guys tell me one more time what that official title is and what his duties are?
His official title is marketing director and chair of the social media and marketing committee, and his primary responsibilities really are just to chair the social media and marketing committee.
And who's on that?
That is the way it was constituted initially. The 3 county chairs, the secretary, the webmaster, and the at-large representative.
Okay, so he's leading this up, but should he be reaching out to us? Should he, should we be meeting with him about social media? I guess what I'm asking is, has he been having regular meetings about social media? And
we don't really have regular meetings. That's not how it's traditionally worked. It's more of when we decide we want to do something, we get together on.
Did he get this position in 2018?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm going to just say for the record that it's probably time that we find somebody else for this job soon. And if it was appointed by the board last time, then we should have a vote on this soon, because it needs to be in new hands after 3 years. That's just my personal opinion. We could talk more about that today or another day, but.
Well, I'm pretty sure the intention is to re-examine the entire committee structure next month when we bylaws amendment.
Yeah, until we codify any standing committee, especially if it has budgetary responsibilities into the bylaws, it doesn't exist.
So yeah, okay. So the other thing about that, in Newcastle County, we created some social media, guidelines and social media kind of like a code of conduct. And I would just like everybody to take a look at those Newcastle County social media bylaws, see if they make sense at the state level or something similar to them.
And where are these bylaws?
Yeah, can you sort of, the AOA is, I think the AOA is in Discord now, but can we?
I'll put it in the state board. Give me just 1 second. I'll put it up there.
Newcastle County AOA's in where?
Well,
I'm going to post it in just a second.
So Will and I are in the process of making sure there is a channel between both of these servers where we can drop these documents when they be shared. I think we're just 1 or 2 steps away from making that a complete thing.
Okay.
So Will's got documentation in the Kent County, right? So I thought I saw something there. So you could drop them into Newcastle County, Dale, for now.
All right, I'll put them in Newcastle County for right now.
So I can see those if I go to Newcastle on Discord?
Yes.
Will be in just a moment.
All right, I'm not going to do it right this minute.
Yeah.
No,
I have a life.
I know you do.
I feel you on that.
You know what? I'm going to post them here.
I
And,
already spent $3 or $4 today on treasury stuff.
let's see, Newcastle, here we are. Okay.
All right, and then I guess we'll wait to talk about committees until we've got something more stringent in our bylaws. But I really want to try to encourage some kind of a work or something to help Jimmy and Sussex, because they have a lot of open municipal seats down there, and we've got a bunch of members that we haven't reached out to. We might find some candidates for some of those municipal elections down there.
Sounds good.
So one thing I think we are going to need to help drive this, whether it's an ad hoc committee or not, is some kind of a committee at the state board that pulls people out of all of the counties to do this, so that, you know, it's not just one county working on it. We're all working together to get it done.
Oh, I thought these bylaws you were sending, or articles of association you were sending in specifically to do with, multimedia and social media.
It's in there. It's in the bylaw section of that AOA.
The bylaw what?
The bylaw section of the AOA. So the AOA is structured just like the state one. It's got the AOA with the articles, and then at the end of that, it has all the bylaws.
I thought you guys cut back on Steve Boone's AOA.
We did.
Oh, God. It looks as long as what I remember Steve's work.
No, it's not nearly as long. Not nearly as long, Mary Pat.
13 pages.
Yeah. It used to be much longer, believe it or not.
I sat through the reading of the whole thing, I remember.
Yeah.
I've been around for a while, I remember the original.
Yeah, you were there for that.
Yeah.
If nobody has anything to add, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. We've had 2 seconds, so that's good. Do I have to do a vote for this, or can we just all?
You can say without objection. If anybody objects, we can have a vote at that point.
Okay, great. So let's take a vote to adjourn. Say aye.
Actually, point of order, I'm sorry. Point of order, I'm sorry. I gotta contradict myself here. We're supposed to do a roll call for all of the state board level.
The back room.
Hey, roll call, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then we'll call it. Amy,
Aye.
Dave, Dale,
Aye.
Jimmy, Randy, Dylan,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Mary Pat, Will,
Aye.
and I'll abstain myself.
Did you call Joe?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
We got it. Wait,
All right,
it's
everybody.
901. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Peace.
Peace out.